Welcome to this week's edition of the Don Jerry Grapevine podcast. And Dad, we'll get right into it. The Leafs are out. They played last Sunday, was Game 5, and the Leafs are out, and the Blue Jackets are in.
And you know, it's a funny thing, people in Vancouver, Calgary say, wait a minute, talking about the Leafs. Well, listen, it's a big deal around here that they don't make the second round. And first of all, I think what happens is they put such pressure on themselves. You think there's pressure. I've never seen such pressure in all my life. Maybe the Boston Bruins, but we had to do better. But they have to win. They had to do the second round. I think that people would be happy with the second round. What they need is more Shanahans. No, I'm playing Shanahan. They had a couple of Shanahans. This guy was as tough as nails. He was the Cam Neely. Him and Cam Neely were the power forwards. Unbelievable. Play with a broken ankle. I mean,
I remember he fought Bob Probert.
Oh, anybody that was tough on the other club.
Remember he sent you a picture of him with that big brawl between Colorado and Detroit.
Detroit.
And there was him roaring up the ice to get Patrick Waugh, who was going after one of the guys. And then remember that he sent you a big frame picture.
Yeah, wait, and I have the picture. And let me tell you something, boy, he was tough. You had your head up the whole time Shanahan was around. Now, I don't understand, and I don't want to jump on the Leafs because everybody's on the Leafs, but I don't understand. They have talented players up front. There's no doubt about it. They've got talented players up front, but you're never afraid to play them. You're never afraid to play them. Now, look at this year. You look at Washington. They don't have the jump. Don't ask me why. It's when you don't win the cup or you're in the finals, you lose a little something. They don't have the jump. St. Louis, I know Binghamton isn't playing very well, but the jump is there. I could tell a long time ago when the Kings, the Los Angeles Kings, when they snuck in, they had the jump. And Cindy, you asked me earlier, what is the jump? And I can't tell you, but I could tell watching them play.
But you used to say, too, that you could tell even during the warm-ups whether the teams were up for the game
or other.
Or not.
And somebody would ask me, and I knew some games with the Boston Bruins, we just, we didn't have it.
Yeah, I remember Ron McLean tells the story that you guys, back in the Leafs were playing L.A. in the semifinals, and the Leafs were up 3-2, and the game was back in L.A., and you were watching the morning skates, and then you turned to Ron and say, Toronto's not winning the series.
No, and he said, what do you mean Toronto's not winning the series?
Just got to win 1 out of 2.
They were smoking at the time.
But we were talking, Dad, about before. Sometimes we have the show before the shows and all this. But you're saying how the Leafs have to be more of a balance or tougher. And I said, well, how tough do they have to be? But you said, you look at the balance that the Bruins had, how many Lady Byng players you had on your team.
You had Johnny Busick, had Jean Rattel, and Ricky Middleton.
So you had that balance of...
You have to be worried. You have to be worried when you go on the other team's end. No, we didn't have a tough defense.
Well,
boy, you really...
Who were you talking about to the Oilers? And they said they liked playing us.
Oh yeah. Ron and I, we used to sit way up high. And George LaRock, I think it was. George LaRock, of all guys. And he said, so, he come up to talk to me and Ron, and we were sitting there.
This is what, during the morning skate?
Yeah, morning skate. And he come up and he says, teams like playing us. So I didn't say anything. He said, yeah, teams like playing. I said, George, don't you think it'd be nicer if they didn't like playing you? He said, geez, I never thought of that. And it's true. You have to have a little fear when you go in the other team's end. Now, I could tell Washington, I'm not saying Washington won't come back, but they don't have that banger, whatever it is, something. And you have to have, when you go in the other team's end, where is he now? Where is he going to come across? And Leafs, they don't have that. And, I could go on what they need. Everybody knows they need a Peter Angelo, they need a Weber, they need a guy like that. So I'm just saying they need more Shanahans on the club and the attitude of Shanahan.
Well, I think the one thing, too, the big thing for me is some people were blaming Anderson. So let's just, you put a tweet out the other day about Anderson, but we'll just say in 5 games, .934 save percentage, 1.84 goals against, 1 shutout. And that in 5 games. So what do you do with him? He's 31 years old, just coming into his prime, which most people think he's old, but goalies are coming into their prime. He makes $5 million a year. He's going to get more dough.
Yeah, he'll get about 7 or 8.
But I don't think the Leafs can afford him.
They'll have. I don't know. I listen. I'm not too smart on that deal, but I know one thing that they got to. You know what? Getting back to what I said originally, they put such pressure on themselves. At the first, they have to get by. Everybody's, and then they go into the games, and when they want to play that run and gun, when let's go, never mind defense, let's go. They are something to watch. But when they try to play a little defense, you can't play a little defense. You either play defense, and that's how Columbus beat them. They had a good goalie, and they had one guy back all the time. And anyhow. That's enough about the Leafs. People are sick and tired of the Leafs. I hope they do good. I cheer for the Leafs. I've got it on my truck, and them and the Bruins. But that's enough about the Leafs. Okay. Shanahan, get Shanahan. That's all. Get about 3 Shanahans.
Well, maybe you should make a comeback. He looks in good shape.
So what with the Leafs? He's the president or Shanahan?
Yeah, he's the boss. He's the boss.
He's the big cheese.
So, doesn't he have influence on who they trade for and everything?
That's what I don't understand.
I thought if he's the boss and but his team doesn't reflect his personality.
It's easy to say, but they got Clifford, and you know what's a funny thing? And I just thought of it now. Clifford hit the one guy. Remember, really corked the guy in the corner. But what happens is, say the Bruins, and I have to bring in the Bruins because that's what I coached. You bring a guy who wasn't tough. He wasn't tough. And he'd catch the atmosphere. He'd catch the feel of the team, and he'd turn into a rough guy. Not a killer or anything, but he'd turn into he'd take the body and everything. And I think what happened with a guy like Clifford, he caught
went the other way.
He caught no, it's serious. That's what happens when you get a guy that runs around and hits like he did in L.A. I'm not saying he didn't. Remember, he hit that one guy. He tried to. He didn't play that much. Anyhow, that's enough about the Leafs.
Okay, and just want to talk about our sponsor, MyBookie.ag.
I'm loser, eh?
Yeah, you got a couple tough ones there, but
I picked the Leafs.
Yeah, I picked the. Yeah,
I have a bad habit of picking favorites.
Instead of listening to your heart, not your head.
No, I always listen to my heart. I used to pick the Bruins all the time. I was good last year up until the finals.
Right, and so we're in the second round of the playoffs, and MyBookie has all the up-to-minute odds for the favorite teams, hockey, basketball.
I'm a loser in
whatever.
That.
And then, their motto is very simple. You bet, you win, they pay. And if you do enter promo code Grapevine, they will match the first. If you do it the first time, they'll match up to $1,000. And just
it's a lot more exciting when you got money on it.
Oh, for sure. So it's MyBookie.ag, and if you, as they say, put your money where your mouth is. Everybody's an expert until they got to put money on the line.
What George Fell said when everybody has a plan in fighting.
Until you get punched in the face.
Yeah. George Fell, God love him, he's doing great. Well, I hope he's doing great.
Yeah. Well, Dad, I think the other big thing for hockey fans that he talked about is Tuukka Rask.
Everybody's in it.
Leaving, right. And you brought up an interesting point. How would you have handled that situation?
Well, first of all, I've never heard in my life of a guy quitting. There's a lot of things happen. He's had a newborn, and I think they talked him into. That's what I think. I think they talked him into going. But he got here and his newborn, and he's the whole deal. And he wasn't playing great. You could tell he wasn't excited. No, he was just going through the motions, as far as I was concerned.
Yeah, he didn't look on that first game that the Bruins lost against the Hurricanes. He looked terrible.
Yeah, he was brutal. They should have won that game. And the Bruins didn't look that good either. And somehow it gets through. You got a goaltender that's not enthused, and the whole deal. You got to see them before the game. They're ready to go. They got a guy named Halak. What a savior that guy. They paid the guy, I think, $2.5 million. That's a lot of money for a backup goalie. Somehow they must have known. Good general manager and good president and everything. That's a lot of money to pay. Anyhow, this guy, if you remember, people, when he played for Montreal, they had to make a decision between Price and Halak. That's how good he was.
Yeah, he took him like pretty deep into the playoffs.
He was a guy. He'd win a series by himself. He was fantastic. And you know what? He looks like he's got the jump. He wants to prove, this is his one chance. What is he? He's 30-some years old now.
But yeah, he'd probably be, older than that. I think it's, figure Carey Price was a rookie and he was a starting goalie.
So anyhow, this is his one shot at the Stanley Cup, and he played terrific the last game. And he is a good goaltender. He is a dandy. And this is a shot to prove, because he'll always be a good backup. 2.5, a lot of money, but he's going to be good. And don't count the Bruins out. And Marchand, he looked like he was ticked off. But as far as Rask goes, you can't blame the guy in a sense and the whole deal. He wasn't playing good. He just had a newborn. I think they talked him into it. But I've never heard of a guy quitting.
How would you have handled it then?
Let's see. He would have talked to me first. If I was a coach, he would have talked to me first.
Right.
And I said, look, come up with an injury. And he said, come up with a pulled groin and say, look, I can't play with a pulled groin. And players would know right away. Doesn't matter. But you'd get him off the hook. And you'd say, I've had these groins before. They last. You can't come back with a groin or something. You come up with anything you
Even
want.
The flu.
Well, the flu, no. I used to do that with Jean Rattel. But he would have come up with an injury. And what can you say?
That would have taken a lot of heat off of us, because there's a lot of Bruins fans that are pretty mad.
No, so in a sense, I know I don't like to see a guy quit, but in a sense, it's good that he doesn't want to play. His heart's not in it, and Halak is in it, and he could win. He could win that series. In a sense, it's good. So the fans shouldn't be on him. But again, I never heard of a guy. Did
you ever make excuses for players?
Jean Rattel, he came from New York. Jean Rattel was the skinniest guy you'd ever see. He was a pro golfer, but he had a bad back. He was a pro golfer, And I remember we used to have to get a board when we went on the road. He used to have a board because he walked very straight, because his back was bad. So he came from the New York Ranger organization, and Guelph. He played for Guelph, and they were on the ice any day that they could be on the ice. They were on the ice. That's their motto. And when he came to us, I could see his back was bothering him a little, because he used to really work hard. We used to have Black Tuesdays, and I could see they weren't doing him any good. He was skinny as a rail.
So Black Tuesday, for people that didn't know, you just skate him into the ground.
Yeah, and I remember one time we were and Thierry, one of the best things I think ever happened after I left the 2 years, Thierry O'Reilly was sitting on the bench, was in the paper. He said, we knew we could beat the other club because we were in better shape than them. And Black Tuesday was bad, though. I used to give them money off. You want to come,
Monday was optional.
Monday was optional. And but Tuesday, it was just brutal. And then Wednesday, we'd have, that's the way it worked.
So you would tell Jean Rattel just to...
I tell Jean Rattel, I said, I want you to stay home Monday and Tuesday. Oh, no, Donnie. I remember. Donnie, what will the gentleman, you'll get in trouble. And, no, I said, just say you got the flu. I'll tell Danny that you came and got the flu. Everybody knew. Harry Sinden, he knew.
You're just giving him an easy out.
Yeah, and nobody can say, everybody gets the flu. And it got to the point, he had the flu every week.
Every Monday, Tuesday.
Monday and Tuesday, he had the flu or cold or something. And at the end, I read a paper, and somebody sent me a paper, a guy from Boston sent me a paper. He said I could play for Don Cherry for another 10 years because he'd only play the games. And we protected him. The word got out too, do not touch Jean Rattel, or it'll be time in the hospital. And he just played. And I think he got a hat trick one time.
Well, you remember that whole story?
No, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that Harry's going to be mad when he hears this.
Well, I don't know. Do you want to tell it or not?
What happened was...
We're in the semifinals or finals? Was it the
finals?
Finals?
Yeah, against Montreal. And Harry sent me a note, and somehow or other...
Oh, yeah. Oh, now I know.
And it said that Rattel played brutal against... Anyhow.
Said he plays. You sent a note and said Rattel doesn't play good against
And he did.
Montreal.
And he didn't. Harry was right. But I had to win. Like I'd do anything to win. Anything to win. And I showed the letter to Bobby Schmatz, who was a good friend of Rattel's. And he told Rattel, you got a hat trick. Got a hat trick that against
Now that's
Montreal.
motivation.
No, I just did anything to win. But anyhow, but Harry was right.
Yeah.
He didn't play good against Montreal. Why? He was right. But I had
That
to
is a career-limiting move, and one of the many.
I
with
knew
you
I
and
was
Harry.
gone. I was getting fired.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I sound like a hero, but I was getting fired. I knew I was getting fired, even though we went. Imagine getting fired. Wow. I went to the 7th game in overtime of the Stanley Cup champions, and get fired.
Yeah, maybe the greatest team of all time.
Greatest team of all time. Their first line. Their first line was shut. I'll never forget it. 52 goals. 52. Lemaire, center, 30-some goals. And Shutt had 60
goals.
Yeah, 60 goals. And Lemaire had 35, and Lafleur on the right side had 52. And then you had Savard, Lapointe, and Robinson, who were on the ice. Those two were on the ice all the time. Those three, you had them on the ice, and then you had Dryden. Anyhow, I get fired at the end.
Yeah,
and
but
I should have got fired.
Well, you did things to
I
get
did
Harry
things.
to.
We had to win, and you know what? Harry would have done the same thing. He was like a guy behind the bench.
Well,
too.
do you remember what you did after Rattel got the hat trick?
Yeah, I just asked. I knew I was getting fired.
Harry was up in one of the suites, and you started waving to him.
Oh, that's when you were waving up high. Oh, yes, that was on TV a couple times. You were waving.
All right, that's enough of that. And Harry was right. He didn't play good against Montreal. It checked his record.
But who would have thought that you would have showed the letter or told
not awful.
Smotsy?
But you guys were you and Harry weren't even talking then. Right?
We weren't even.
That's why he sent you the note, because you weren't even talking.
Sent me a note. That's how bad it was.
That's your communication.
And I remember, and we were in the finals, and he stayed at one. Him and Tom Johnson stayed at one hotel, and we stayed at the other. Whoever heard of the general manager and everybody, all the brass stayed at downtown, that hotel. What's I forget the name of it. And we sent the Manor. It was, we could walk to and everything. Anyhow, that's enough of that.
Okay. Well, the other big thing kind of happened was Rob Brindamore got fined $25,000 for saying this is why the league's a joke, in my opinion. With those things, and this one was a crime scene. And he got $25,000.
You know who really gets mad at that is the referees. The referees makes the referees look bad because he made the call. I mean, he's not mad at the league. He's mad at the referees. That's who he's talking about.
Man. Well, I saw, the funny thing was, it was on Twitter or Facebook. I saw the check. It was $25,000, and for the whoever wrote it was smart. Put $25,017 because that was Brindamore's number. Which again, I wouldn't antagonize the league, but you had to pay when you got.
I had to pay mine. I think a funny story about that is, just came to me. When I left Boston, I got fined $750. It was not bad. $750 is pretty good money. I don't know. I must have done something, said something or something. Not bad, but bad enough. And Harry didn't pay it. Like you're supposed to pay it. You get caught paying. I don't understand that. I thought if you get caught.
I thought it was supposed to be coming personally out of your pocket.
You'd think.
That's what
I thought.
What's the deterrent if the team pays
you
your
saw
fines?
the check?
I saw the check, and it looked like it was a Carolina Hurricane check, and it looked like it wasn't signed by Brindamore.
So what happened with? Did you have to pay it then? The team.
Oh
didn't
yeah,
pay?
I thought that was pretty good of Harry. He didn't pay it, and
You were with another team.
I was in Colorado, and I had to pay $750.
And the NHL really went after you for the $750.
Well, yeah, they sent the letter. You didn't pay this way with the Boston Bruins. Now you owe it to us.
Yeah. So what was the maddest you think that Ziegler ever got at you for?
I was telling you before. Boy, I must have been nuts when I coached the Bruins. When we were in a series before, I forget it was Philadelphia. I says just started the series with Montreal. I said if we ever get to the 7th game, we'll get screwed believe me, we'll get screwed. The referees know what side of the bread's buttered on, and the whole deal. Montreal was the glamour club of all time. I mean, it was the flagship. I think they lost 8 games that year. By God, we get to the 7th game, and I was at the Man War. I never forgot that call. I can still hear it. And John Ziegler was the president. He was just livid, and he said, "You know, if it was anybody else, if we weren't in the finals, if we weren't in the finals, I'd suspend you." And they just going nuts. And he said, "I don't mind you call us stupid. That's fine. Sometimes we deserve it, but to call us dishonest." And I'll be gone. We got to the 7th game. No, I'm telling you, Myers was, I think, the referee.
Oh,
and
yes.
he was the guy that called the penalty on Tiger Williams. I think I talked about this before.
Yep.
And Tiger was boarding in the overtime
Against Montreal.
It meant nothing. Like, it was nothing. Boarding it was nothing. And the only time I've ever seen where Larry Robinson had to come and
Tiger Williams
grab a hold of him.
Yeah, because Montreal scored on the power play in overtime to put the Leafs out.
Yeah, and they were gone.
And Tiger Williams went
nuts. And so he should have. He come out of the penalty box and he was running at Myers. He might have hit him. Oh, he would have hit him. And two Leafs had him by the arms, and he couldn't stop him. And Larry Robinson come over and grabbed him.
Try to calm him down.
The other team.
Larry Robinson.
On the other team.
You know, that's the kind of guy Larry Robinson was. You know, he knew he was out and he was going to get in deep trouble. And so everybody thinks it was too many men on the ice. No, we deserved that. Too many men on the ice. Dumbhead me. And no, it was Jean Rattel's high sticking. To this day, I can still see it.
The Lady Bing winner.
Lady Bing. He was the Lady Bing high sticking. I let go. And I remember Gainey running at him. And as he went by, he put up his stick as he went by.
To protect himself.
Yeah. And he came on 2 minutes. I knew then we were never going to win.
Well, and people, remember in the coach's corner, you're standing on the bench bowing. Everybody thinks that's the too many men on the ice. That wasn't. That was that call on Rattel just to go up to say, "See, I told you."
Yeah, and then he called a thing of calling Dick Redmond, but that was iffy. But then Rattel, I knew. I think we were winning 3-1 at the time, and I knew we were never going to win. I knew, and the too many men on the ice, I deserved that one. And I know some people. What happened was we were winning, and with 1:40 to go, and a lot of people don't realize that game. And we lost in overtime, and I was fired. It should have been fired.
Yeah. Well, Dad, we did. One of the viewers put up a picture of you when you played for the Vancouver Canucks.
Yes,
and
we won the championship.
And we put it on. It's on the Twitter, and I'll put it up on Facebook. And boy, did you ever have the scar?
I didn't even know,
the scar between your eyes.
I was wondering why you sent me that picture. So you notice how tight the sweaters was?
Yeah.
Yeah, a fighter always has a tight sweater because then you can't grab, see. But, boy, what is that? I was a pretty good, I don't even remember getting that one. That was a pretty good scar. Cindy, you were telling us.
I was saying, you had a lot of scars on your face. And the reason I know that was years ago, we were in Rochester and you were spraying the ice. It was really, really cold in Rochester. And I came back, it was late at night, and I was going to scare you because, you were sort of like, it was late. And you turned around and your face, because it was so cold, was all red, except for the scars on your face, because they don't get blood, in a scar, and so they were white on your red face. And you turned around and I screamed because you looked like Frankenstein. You had so many cuts on your face. You looked like, Jerry Cheever's famous hockey mask with all the cuts.
That was a joke, eh?
I never could understand that. Is that in the Hockey Hall of Fame or whatever happened to that?
What happened was, that was Frosty Forrestal.
Yeah.
He says, every time I get hit, and Frosty just went a little nuts.
So Jerry did tell him to every time.
Yeah, Jerry told him, he says, he got hit or something on the mask, and he didn't want to practice as usual. And that was before I got there. And I said, well, I didn't understand all those things there. And he says, well, I told Frosty to doctor it up a little bit. Yeah.
That looked like your face because you had it all, your chin, your forehead, around your mouth.
I really got cut a lot was between the eyes.
Well, that's where this one was, just a little bit higher.
Yeah, it was. I don't remember that one.
So how did you get rid of all your scars? 'Cause if you look now, you really got to look hard to see if you have any scars.
Funny. Okay, I'll tell you what happened. It was early. Well, it was my first year. I was a rookie, and Andy Brannigan, God love him. I was taking a spot. He's from Winnipeg. Andy Brannigan. I never forgot his name. And he says, kid, the way you play, you're going to get a lot of scars. And I'll give you a tip. He says, don't let them leave the scars in a long time, because what'll happen is you'll see the
don't leave the stitches.
Don't leave the stitches in a long time. He says, Hershey has a little thing, cocoa butter, and it was like a stick. And he said, when you're on the bus and you're doing nothing, just keep rubbing that and keep it always moist all the time. And to this day, I use cocoa butter. But the whole practice, I used to be sitting on the bus and I'd get cut, and they'd go away. Cocoa butter used to.
You don't see any scars on your face.
No.
You said what? 400 stitches you had in your face?
Three, 4.
Yeah, you did have a lot.
I did a lot of scars. Remember the time I got hit in that fight? My eye was black, like the white of my eye was black for about 6 months.
Yeah, that's I think the only scar you can really see is that one a little bit if you look.
Yeah.
So the person that put up the thing, they wanted to know who your goalie was in Vancouver. So tell us some of the guys you played with in Vancouver, and how did you get to Vancouver? Because I would have been I would have been like 5, I think. So I
did not want to go. It was strange. What happened was Joe Crozier and Punch Imlach owned Rochester, and I think they sold it, and they moved everybody except me and a few other guys to Vancouver with championship team out there, but they were in second spot, and I remember I said, how the heck did I ever get here? Joe Crozier said, we want to move you. I didn't want to move. I was in Rochester. I had family there and everything. He says, we're moving you out to Vancouver. Oh, jeez.
So Daryl was already out there.
Daryl was there. Let's see the guys that there. I wrote this down. Brian Hextall was there. Andy Bathgate was there. Murray Hall was there. Len Lundy was there. Teddy Taylor was there. Duke, who could really fire a puck. Boy, he could fire a puck. John Gofton. Remember, John Gofton was there I don't think he was there for the end, but he was the guy who was in Slapshot that was along the boards. Remember that had the P?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he had funny hair. He had funny hair and everything. Jermaine Gagnon was like, boy, would he ever have been good in the league today? Up and down, up and down. All he did was go up and down. I knew he didn't get many goals. Phil Maloney was there for quite a while. Phil Maloney was a magician. I think he lives in Vancouver. Mark Rayum, I lived with him. We lived in the Admiral Hotel, had the biggest bar downstairs. I bet you there was 1,000 guys used to be in there. You used to hear laughing and joking and smoking. And I remember they had little canisters of shrimp. Anyhow, that's what we used to have. Anyhow, that was Donnie Johns, good hockey player. I remember he was in Rochester. Darryl Sly, Jim McKinney, Bob Lemieux. I remember him. I was coaching Rochester later on. Bob Lemieux was coaching some other club. And I was sitting there outside the dressing room, and he said, your team doesn't have to play like that. And I'm thinking, I knew exactly what he meant. We were too rough, too mean and nasty and everything. I said, what do you mean? You know what I mean, anyhow. Tracy Pratt, his dad was a Hall of Famer. Told a funny story about he lost a game. Now, who was the guy? Oh, Conn Smythe. And they had a meeting, and the goal, guy shot the puck, and the puck went right between his legs, and that was a winning goal in overtime. And Conn Smythe was in. He was really mad and everything. And he came to Babe. He was giving everybody heck, and he came to Babe Pratt. He said, "Gee." He says, "I'm sorry, Con." He says, I should have kept my legs together. He says, "Too bad your mother didn't." Oh. Kenny Block, I remember he played for Rochester. And
so most of those guys, though, Dad played.
Well, they were all in Rochester.
From Rochester.
So I went out, and Jim McKinney went out to, and Daryl went to Sly, and he said, "How are we getting the first spot?" And he said, you'll have to get cherry out here. No, get grapes out here. And so that's how I got out there, and I moved into
But then say why, though? It was because they needed, you said,
Well,
leadership and all. So what was the connection with Punch Imlach and Joe Crozier were associated with the Leafs, right? And that was the connection with Vancouver?
Yeah, and somehow or other, somehow he owned Punch, and we didn't find out till later. Punch and Joe Crozier owned Rochester. That's why we kept getting the good players. Nobody can understand it. We got Walton, we got Stemkowski, we got...
They were almost like the farm team of the Leafs.
Well, the next year, they went Larry Hillman. They went up to the National Hockey League and won the Stanley Cup.
Right.
Anyhow, I went out there, and I could see we were 9 points or something behind, 10 points. We were never going to make first spot. But then when I knew we had good enough club, and Charlie Hodge was, I think somebody.
Yeah, the guy who put the picture up, he wanted to know who the goalie was.
Yeah, the goalie was Charlie Hodge, and he went to National Hockey League. He was played great. George Gardner was there for a while, but Charlie Hodge played. So then, I knew we were going to do good in the playoffs, and we smoked the playoffs, and we never lost a game in the playoffs. And we played.
Who'd you play in the final?
Totems, played Seattle Totems, and that was the year. That was Seattle Totems. And what are they going to call them this year? Crackers?
The Krakens. Crackers. The Krakens. It's like a squid. It's like a prehistoric or a mythology.
The only team's going to be, and the PR guy said the only team going to be all in black.
Are they?
Yeah, they
Wow.
are.
Wasn't there a story about a guy when you went out there and during practice he kept rah-rahing you and kept hitting you in the pants? That was a funny story. So you're new to the club, and you.
So I'm new to the club, and I knew we weren't going to be. And then we started the playoffs, and I knew we were really good. And we played Seattle. Funny deal. I couldn't remember, and we played in Seattle. And then we flew back the day of. We played in Vancouver, and then we flew to Seattle. Then back and forth. I mean, that is a ridiculous thing.
So you played every other day and you traveled?
Every other day.
And the traveling day was supposed to be your day off, but you traveled.
Yeah, we did. I guess they wanted to get it over, but that was funny.
So who'd you play in the finals?
We played Portland Buckaroos. I remember the Buckaroos, and they had a good club. I mean, Messier's dad played for them. I think it was Don. Messier's dad played for him.
Was a buckaroo is the same as a buccaneer? Or what's a buckaroo?
No. A buckaroo is a cowboy. Is a cowboy.
Oh.
And rode the. He could do the lariat, and he rode bunking broncos, and he was a real buckaroo. And no. The other one is what did you say?
A buccaneer.
No,
what's the difference?
Is a pirate. A pirate and a buccaneer. I think that's leather or something like that. At one time, and how that come, I know about the pirates pretty good. And what happened was the Spanish let the wild cattle go in Africa, I guess, or someplace, or any place over there, South America. It doesn't matter. And they let them run wild, and they catch them and kill them and eat their meat and everything like that, and make them and keep their hides and you know more of this hides. And they used to put fire on them and the whole deal and everything. And one day the Buccaneers, they used to call them Buccaneers. And he says, why do we do work so hard? Why don't we get a ship and go out and rob all these Spanish ships? And that's how the word came, buccaneer, and it comes from the guys that used to catch the cattle and make hides.
No.
I thought she'd let you know.
Yeah.
And there was a big difference. Let me see now. There's a big difference in Sir Francis Drake. He was a privateer. Now, a privateer is, he has a letter from the English Queen that as long as he doesn't attack the Dutch, I think, or the French or something, he could only attack the Spain. And that's what he made.
So he was a legal pirate.
Yeah. A pirate is a pirate. He was a legal pirate.
Illegal pirate. So he was a privateer.
That?
Well, you beat the Buckaroos.
Oh, Buckaroos. Yeah, we beat the Buckaroos. We never lost, and we were fantastic.
Well, you told a story about one time that you and Daryl were in the dressing room.
We'd won the championship, and we won it in Vancouver. We won it in overtime. Yeah, we lost the first two games. We won it in overtime, and so we're celebrating and everything like that. Someday I must go into that. What happened on that thing? And I said to Daryl, Daryl, I said, when we take our equipment off, it's all over. We go to a party and everything. The last 5 years I played, I won. I didn't. I was on teams that won 4 championships and 1 final. The last 5 years I played. Anyhow, once you take the equipment off, it's all over. I mean, you go to a party after, and it doesn't matter, man. And Daryl said, "Well, let's not take our equipment off." So we didn't take the equipment off. We sat there the whole time in our equipment with the sweater off and everything. And he got a bottle of champagne and I got a bottle of champagne. And the funny thing is the trainer said, "Well, are you guys ever going to leave?" And I said, "I don't think so. We're going to stay here all night." And he said, "Well, here's the keys. I'm leaving. I'm going to the party."
Did you ever get a ring for that championship? Because I know Mom got a ring. Because that ring that you wear is the Calder Cup ring.
This there... when we won, we never got anything.
Because I have the Mom's ring. Mom got a ring.
Did she?
Yeah, and I still have it. It's a pinky ring.
How come you don't wear it?
I don't wear rings. I don't go out anymore with this pandemic. When I wear rings, I go out. I wear it all the time when I go out.
What does it look like? Well,
It's like it's a diamond shaped gold, and it's got diamonds in it, and it's from the championship out west.
Oh, I think you could get one. You could get one for yourself, and get one for the wife.
Well, the wives, you must have chose Mom because I've got the
What
ring.
a great guy I am, eh?
Yeah, you're so unselfish. The least you could do, because I remember Mom going when you went out west. She was not happy, and Tim and I.
What am I going to do?
When's Daddy coming home? Because we were used to you going away, but not months at a time.
Yeah,
You know?
and anytime.
I remember you kept sending postcards.
Yeah, you're big on postcards.
Well, I sent postcards.
To
I remember
your mom?
one time I get sent out to Tulsa. Mark Reum broke his toe or something, and I got sent to Tulsa. And that was the year the whole East. A lot of people don't remember, but the whole Eastern it was shut down. I don't know what
To
happened.
see that was the blackout.
The blackout and the snowstorm. Yeah.
So and there was no heat in the house and everything like that.
And then you call from Tulsa,
Yeah, I
which
called
is beautiful.
from Tulsa, and she's giving me all of. Rose never complained though. She never complained. She could have complained, kind of complained this time. And she said, "Well, what are you going to do tonight?" And I said, "Well, I'm going out to the owner's branch." "Oh, isn't that nice?" I said, "Well, I'm going out to the ranch, and he's going to have barbecue. For
And they have a pool because it's Tulsa and it's nice.
And everything like that." And she says, "Well, there's one bad thing. We don't have Budweiser. We have Lone Star beer." Is she mad at that? Anyhow, every time I was like the 4th and 5th defenseman all the time, and I was the guy that used to send out all the time. Went to Tulsa, and I went to Vancouver. Vancouver, though, we had a great.
So let me ask, what's
we
Tulsa?
seem to be talking about Vancouver.
What's Tulsa? What's the connection with Tulsa?
That's where Pat Quinn went, and all the young guys went to Tulsa Oilers. And that was like a farm team of Rochester. And I remember Pat Quinn, very first, if you remember, he used to coach the Leafs and played a long time. And we had a party, and as we had to leave, and I grabbed a 6-pack, and I said, "This is the first thing you learn. When you go to your room, always grab a 6-pack."
So you're
teaching Pat Quinn the ropes.
Taught the rules, and looked like, and he was a good guy. Pat Quinn.
until he hit Bobby.
Oh, yeah. I was in the Rochester when he hit Bobby at that time. Yeah. And Bobby thought, and I kept saying, "Oh, no, he didn't."
How many times you showed that video on Coach's Corner?
Bobby never watched it. He wouldn't watch it.
Yeah.
And he said, "No, that was a good check." I said, "He hit you with an elbow." And I said, "No, watch it.
You made him watch it.
Watch it. He did hit me with an elbow."
You showed it. Even Pat Quinn said, "You show that video one more time on Coach's Corner."
And there's a picture. I have a picture of it. I don't know why who sent it to me. A picture of Bobby Orr hitting him.
Well, the next game they got
to
a big fight.
Oh, yeah, and Bobby Orr won. Bobby was hitting with the left. And there was a guy, the camera had it was right there. I think it was Mark Punga, had it right there in the corner, and he showed the whole fight. How did we get into all this here?
I don't know. We kind of
Vancouver.
How long have we been going here?
So let's maybe we should wrap it up. And I think next week, Dad, we want to talk about the meanest team you were ever on.
I was on a lot of meanest teams.
Spokane.
Oh, Okay,
we'll talk about that next, because that's an hour and a half.
We had big S in the front, and I said, "Don't get mad." A guy in New York, I guess, is mad, because I speak too much about the.
Yeah, we lost one guy because he said we were too political talking about the police. He was a Democrat, and he was upset that we were talking about the left, and so
about the police.
Anyway, so we just two things though, Dad. So that's the thing.
So we lose one, we gain more.
That's right. But we'd like to thank our sponsor, MyBookie.ag. Remember,
and I'm a loser with them.
Yep, and join today, and MyBookie will match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $1,000 if you put in the promo code Grapevine. And their slogan is "You bet, you win, they pay." But I always like put money where your mouth is. Everybody's a hockey expert till you got to put up. But Dad, before we go, we got to mention one thing. Today or yesterday, we taped this on Sunday.
This is right wing too.
Yesterday was VJ Day, which is Victory in Japan, because there's VE
nothing
Day.
in the paper about it.
Yeah, so because everybody kind of thinks after the Nazis surrendered that the war was over, but the U.S. mostly had to go fight the Japanese through the South Pacific, which was. Absolutely, the fighting was just horrendous. So,
it was.
But yesterday was the day that the Japanese surrendered, and Canada took the brunt of it at the start when they invaded Hong Kong.
The Royal Rifles of Canada from Quebec City and the Winnipeg Grenadiers were in Hong Kong, and there was 2,000 Canadian soldiers, and it was unbelievable. They held out for 7 days. And I think 200 were, if I remember correctly, reading about it, but there was close to 500. 290 were killed, and something like 250.
Another 500 were wounded.
And then they were captured. They held out for 7 days, and nobody believed it, and nobody knows about it. I mean, these guys.
And then a lot, they were all taken prisoner, and
they were murdered. And
a lot of them were killed in the prison.
290 died in prison again. And I just want to say that we're so proud of. They hung out for 7 days, and I know they died. And
I think the British kind of left them out,
left them out to dry. They thought they were coming. See, they thought they were going to be. They put them there, and the Japanese just overran them, and. They thought they were going to be rescued, and they just left them there to Canadians, eh? And we're the best troops in the world. We're all volunteers, and nobody beats Canadians. Cindy, as we go, we talk about great Canadians, and I know we've got some great Canadians supporting Don Cherry's rescue, and all the money goes to our friends at Pet Rescue. And I want you to tell us about some of the great Canadians and the bid and how it's going.
Well, if they go to Coop Inc. and .ca, and you'll see Coach's Closet on there.
John was over yesterday
talking about it, and a lot of bids on your jackets that include.
And this is a tough time too, Cindy. Like with the pandemic, or whatever it's called.
Well, it shows how much people want to support the foundation, and they want to support you and your cause. And
no, they want to support I think that what they're doing is they get the jackets, and it's good jackets. We give a shirt, we give my cufflinks that I wore. The puff, the whole deal.
The tie. You can get a tie, yeah. So go to the Coop, and that's Coop Inc. That's INK at the end, .ca, and you'll get to preview all your jackets and pictures of you wearing the jacket, a little bit of inside stuff on there.
That's good or not. And
yeah.
And I'll tell you what, I'll send them a book. I'll sign it personally, and I'll send an 8x10 picture if they're good enough. And they're great Canadians. And I'd just like to mention, Cindy, the Royal Rifles of Canada from Quebec City and the Winnipeg Grenadiers, they held out at Hong Kong for 7 days. God love them.